Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is indeed the second match of the day of three matches that we've got for you today in the Ori and the Blind Forest All Skills Tournament. My name is Shafe, joined alongside Rufus. We've got the number 11 seed, Lusther, facing off against the number 22 seed, Mattermonkey, in this race. The qualifier average for Lusther posted a 31.23 and a qualifier best of 30.40, while Mattermonkey pulled off a 33.14 qualifier average and a 32.57 qualifier best. But it is worth noting that the qualifier separation in terms of best and worst for Lusther was about a 4 minute and 53 second difference. So this match is by no means done and dusted, Rufus.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually think that just looking at the seeds, you got the 11th seed, the 22 seed, like you said. I think that's a little bit of kind of misleading in a sense that I think these runners are a little bit closer than that. If you just go off their PBs, they are within 2.5 minutes or so. So still a little bit of time there, but I think this could go either way, and I'm excited to see this race.
Yeah, absolutely. You're taking a look at the input methods here, keyboard and mouse for both players. It's relatively minor whether or not they do keyboard and mouse or controller, except for double bashing mostly, but they're going to be going for the same route of Terror Break instead of Crazy Juggle. And you'll notice that Lusther also takes one less health cell typically in his runs, although just for race safety, he might go ahead and push for an extra one. Both of these runners started running the game roughly around the same time as well, and they're experienced speedrunners in general. As you can see there on your screen, Lusther's previously ran 102 Dalmatians at Portal, while Mattermonkey himself is running Celeste, Dusk Force, and The End is Nigh. And
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it is interesting the similarities they have there. So here we have a look at our bracket. We got them kind of there at the bottom of your screen, and the winner here will be going up against the winner of Lurking Assassin and Fupio. So kind of interested to see as we get more into this bracket and into the round of 16 where the matches will be best of threes as opposed to these best of ones. But for now, we just have a best of one, so this match does decide it. And with that, some of the runners, because they are newer to the game, have kind of mentioned, Lusther specifically mentioned to us that he's a little more nervous because it is his first time running. But without further delay, I guess let's jump into the action.
Yeah, first time running in brackets for Lusther, so you might expect some stage nerves there for him. As you mentioned, the winner of this match facing off Lupio or Lurking, that is going to be happening tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern as well. So that'll be coming up. Lusther's PB, by the way, was extremely recent, January 25, so less than a month ago. Mattermonkey's not too far behind, coming back on November the 6th. So runners are underway, getting them synced up here for you. The hardest trick in the game, of course, prologue skip. They both get it just fine. We're going to be heading off to the left. We're going to be picking up the first skill of the game, Sign, also Spirit Flame. It does have an internal cooldown on this, where if you spam it too quickly, it'll just sort of force you to stop for a second. So one of the first little minor optimizations that the runners are going to be doing is making sure that they attack rhythmically in such a way that that cooldown doesn't get activated. And it's important, most notably here, and fighting the Ginza mini-boss as well.
Yeah, it's definitely something we'll point out and you'll be able to see throughout the run. Kind of a little update, actually. I think Mattermonkey actually got a PB more recently than what we had displayed, which was at the beginning of the tournament with a 32.57. So he's playing well right now, and that puts these two even closer than we previously said. So here's Sign, the first skill that you were talking about that's going to let them attack. They're pretty much synced up right now, which is to be expected. So we'll see how they take care of these first frog.
Yeah, that's actually about a 30-second time save off of his previous PB as well, so just worth noting there. One of the things that happens in a lot of speed games, by the way, jumping saves just a little bit of time. We'll pretend it's about the friction. So you'll notice that the runners are going to be doing that a lot before they end up picking up the zoom skill with dash. So they're going to be monitoring their XP here. When you level up in Ori, you get a level up explosion, and you also refill your life and your energy. The level up explosion is going to be important as they traverse their way towards the wall jump area. There's a bunch of brambles that are going to be in the way, and they're going to be looking to clear those with the level up explosion. And then there's going to be a sequence break that we're going to be doing to head to Grotto much earlier that we'll talk about as we get there as well. So just a little optimized jumping off of that hanging platform there, getting rid of these brambles, taking intentional damage as they're looking to set up for the first ghost door of the game.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just kind of this whole first section. You talked about it with the little bit in the jumping, the timing of your attacks. All these things are just small optimizations that when, added together, they do end up adding up for a couple seconds here and there. And that's kind of what you see now with Lusther taking a, so a lead, but even though it's a slight lead. So both of them are now going to go here. I think they're both going for this fourth health cell. Yep, you see them turn off to the right. So they're going to get their fourth health cell. This is to be expected. I think it's pretty common, except for those at the very top.
Yep, it's just a little bit of extra safety, and there's other options that you can get later on in the run if you wanted to skip this one. This ends up being about a net 4-second time loss to grab this one. So heading off to the right, looking to grab an extra keystone over here, then we'll be doing a little switch back off to the left to head over to the wall jump tree to pick up our first proper skill of the game. Wall jump does exactly what you would imagine it does, lets you jump off of walls. So again, as they jump over that first bramble there, take some damage boosting there just to get through that a little bit faster on the left side from Lusther. Mattermonkey opts to go for the kill route, jump off this flower pad, take a little bit of XP, and another intentional damage boost there as well. Just saves a little bit of time because when you activate a spirit tree, you recover your life and energy as well.
Yeah, and you'll notice both runners, constantly kind of checking the UI. We usually runners of this game usually play with the UI toggled off, but they're choosing every once in a while to toggle it on to kind of check their experience to set it up for this next section. One of the things, Lusther, I know specifically, I mentioned he's going to be going for the genocide route, which involves getting a lot of the experience by killing all the slimes in this next area. So he needs to make sure that his experience is correct going to that. And you mentioned this first time level up. Well, that's coming up right here on their way out of climb. They'll get a few experience here, get the level up, clear the path ahead, and also grab them 11 or so experience on their way up.
Yeah, that's approximately a 2-second time save over just killing the appropriate brambles to be able to jump past it. So just some minor optimizations. And again, Lusther is got a little bit of a lead, probably about 5 seconds or so. Another intentional damage boost off of that first slime, saving a little bit of time. We're going to be heading off towards the dash tree. Now, this is going to be the first instance of the save anywhere trick that you're going to see. It's going to happen quite frequently throughout the course of the run. What you do normally when you want to level up is you just open up the ability tree. It freezes your motion, you spend an ability point, and it automatically saves your game. But if you click on the experience orb that shows up in the middle of the screen, and then press proceed and spirit flame at the same time, it tricks the game and allows you to move with Ori and then spend that ability point and do as the trick implies, which is save anywhere. So it seems as though Mattermonkey has actually caught up a little bit of time as well as they touch the spirit wall here.
Yeah, and Mattermonkey actually gave me a little bit of a scare back there as he was getting trolled by one of the slimes. But both of them come into here, and part of that time save, I believe, is also from Lusther grabbing the 15 experience, which Mattermonkey skipped. So that's the difference in experience routing a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
So there, Lusther, you see that that level up. This comes from his different route. You see him going to kill and get the experience from all these slimes, while Mattermonkey ignoring them and most likely going to grab a 100 experience or a little later.
Yeah, that's right. Blackroot Burrow is a pretty scary place. Jumping through these floating platforms here to grab this orb. The intended route is to go across to the left and jump across some other moving platforms in a bit of an auto-scroller type section. But the orb will actually just fly to your position if you stand still long enough. Mattermonkey can have a little bit of trouble with this wall jump here, heading up to where you're supposed to land on the intended path. And there you go, he picks up that experience orb as you mentioned. But yeah, you can just drop the orb and it will fly to your standing location as long as you're still in Blackroot Burrows. So you can just skip that whole process.
Now you see Lusther on these platforms, they operate on a cycle. He made his just fine, but with that little bit of a mess up going up the wall for Mattermonkey, that might cost him a cycle on these platforms. So he might lose a little bit of time here. But all in all, Lusther pulling ahead just slightly, not too big of a time difference yet.
Yeah, if Mattermonkey doesn't get the cycle, it will cost him approximately 8 seconds. Which in the grand scheme of things doesn't seem like a whole lot, but with this run, being around the 30-35 minute mark for these runners, all those little time saves or time losses will add up over the course of the run. So we'll take a look and see whether Mattermonkey can catch the cycle here on the right-hand side of your screen in just a moment.
Yeah, and actually talking about that, Lusther did end up missing that cycle. It is one that we manipulate by how we move in, and I think he just tried to be a little too aggressive with his manipulation, so ended up just barely not being able to make that. So that 8-second time save you're talking about, Mattermonkey being able to make up that little bit of time.
Yeah, so you saw Mattermonkey struggle with that wall jump heading up to grab that experience down on the bottom left of Black Root Burrows. That was approximately, I would say, about 6 or 7 seconds that he lost there. So he's actually recovered a second or two after that. So this is the dash tree. It is the zoom skill of the game, and you're going to see the runners start to traverse very, very quickly. There is a minor optimization that you're going to be seeing throughout the course of the run called dash glide. Right there, as you saw, Lusther, left side of your screen, if you go to neutral after you dash and then jump, you will actually gain a little bit of extra distance, and it will allow you to jump through the slow zone from that cutscene that is still present, even though we skipped the cutscene. The slow zone is still there. So all the XP management that we've been talking about now leads up to this trick primarily.
Yeah, this trick we call it Frankie Walk. Frankie is the name we've given to this weird creature that is following Lusther on the left side of your screen. What you want to do is you want to bring him over these spikes and kill him in a specific spot to get a timed level up in order to get through a door that would be otherwise impassable. So not too difficult, but can be a little bit tricky, as you see on the right side of your screen. Sometimes this Frankie just doesn't want to cooperate, doesn't want to go for his little walk, but he needs to get out, he needs to get his exercise. So Lusther, you see, getting that time level up and perfectly able to get through that door and onto the next section.
Yeah, Frankie did not miss leg day for the purposes of this race, so that's good to see. For energy door, as mentioned with the time level up, you get the level up, it restores your energy, so that's how we sequence break into this area, into Death Gauntlet, which is very, very scary, aptly named because it causes lots of deaths. And Mattermonkey spamming that sign to try and throw the energy into the door there. That last little bit of energy didn't seem to want to cooperate. I was a little bit scared for him for a second. So this is Moon Grotto now, heading off to the double jump tree on the right side of the map, and very nice by Lusther. He gets the Crusher skip here. That's another 8 seconds time save for him.
Yeah, that's great to see. And we'll see Mattermonkey coming up on that same trick in just a second here. Mattermonkey making me sweat a little bit. He missed his dash glide at the Death Gauntlet, but luckily had enough health that he was able to take 1 damage from the Brandos, but he's only left with 1 health. At the same time, Lusther taking a death.
Yeah, that places these runners pretty much dead even now. And Mattermonkey gets the Crusher cycle, and Lusther misses it on the second attempt. So Mattermonkey now pulling ahead by about 8 seconds. Lusther with some frustrated mouse movements on his screen. He knows that's a pretty significant time loss for him.
Yeah, that can be a frustrating one, especially after you get the trick and then take a death. So Mattermonkey saving, they're setting up a ghost door here. You see Lusther do the same thing. Died to get through the door a little quicker, excuse me. And here you have Mattermonkey at the 3rd skill, and Lusther taking another accidental death.
This is a bit of a rough go for Lusther. He did mention before the race that he wasn't going to be watching the race itself, the restream here, which I think is actually probably going to benefit him a little bit because he doesn't know whether or not Mattermonkey's ahead. And if he was to have been watching the race and see that, these little mistakes have kind of cost him first position here, it could very well have put him even further on tilt. So Mattermonkey now going for Grotto Skip. You're intended to go around all the way on the left-hand side and spend about a minute. This is his 3rd attempt, and yeah, he gets it. That can be very, very troubling if you don't get it on the first try, because the way that the beam swings completely messes up your setup for it. You can see Lusther now jumping on top of the beam, pauses for just a second, and then gets it first try. So a little bit of a catch-up for Lusther, but then he takes damage on spikes and costs that time a little bit of a... Okay, he's through now, coming up through this vertical chasm here.
Yeah, so just like that, the runners are a little closer together. Mattermonkey struggling a little bit here with this vertical section, so we'll have to see how Lusther does. These wall jumps can be deceptively tricky to do. It's really easy to fall back down or to not do so optimally. As you're seeing on the left side, Lusther really struggling with that wall, but he finally makes it up. Going for this other one, which is a little bit of a hard jump, gets a first try, no problem. As Mattermonkey skipping a cutscene here and picking up the water vein, which is the key to get into Ginzo, which is the first dungeon and where the runners are headed right now.
First dungeon and only dungeon that you're going to be seeing with any measure of completeness throughout the course of this. Normally, for lore purposes, this is the Forest of Nibel. Our central antagonist Pearl is upset because of some unfortunate things that happened with the kid, and she takes out her anger basically on the forest, and so you have to go and restore the elements of water, wind, and warmth. Ginzo's the one that contains water. We do not restore it. The water will be poisoned throughout the course of the run, which is going to be very important for the final escape, where our runners are going to have a minimum of 5 health in order to be able to swim through that water. Her cutscene skip will be happening there later on Mattermonkey's side, on the right-hand side of the screen, so you'll be seeing this area a little bit later as well.
Yeah, just something to kind of pay attention to as they do end up revisiting some of these same areas. It's interesting, like you said, we're going to be skipping restoring water, we're going to skip restoring wind, so we might not fully restore the forest, but we are going to be getting through the end and finishing it that way. Both runners, you see Lusther has caught up a little bit of time on Mattermonkey here from where they were at double jump, so just a little bit cleaner movement coming out from him. And with that, both are set up just fine to get to this next area, no problem. Damage boost on that slime on the left side, and they're on their way to Ginzo.
Yeah, as you say, Lusther's caught up a little bit of time here. It seems as though any nerves that he may have had from the spaghetti that he happened to leave on the floor, he's got it out of his head now, and the runners are entering Ginzo at nearly the same time here, so a neck-and-neck race as we head on to pick up one of the most unique skills in all of platforming games called Bash. What the Bash skill allows you to do is take enemies or projectiles or lanterns, and you can bash off of them, and Ori will go one way, and the object in question will be heading the other way. So you're going to see us use it for a lot of movement throughout the course of this run in order to be able to go faster. Some nice teleporter movement here from Mattermonkey as Lusther takes a hit off a Gamer, slows him down a little bit, and he's going to have to retry that jump now. And he takes another hit, falls further. Oh no, Lusther, you can do it.
Yeah, this is just one of those frustrating spots to mess up on because you get so used to the cycles of those gleamers, and when you make one misstep, all of a sudden everything's in the wrong spot and it becomes a little more tricky. And it's we're starting to see a little bit of a pattern here where Lusther has generally cleaner movement, a little bit faster, but making these mistakes that cost him time and let Mattermonkey either catch back up or, in this case, stay in the lead. Lusther taking an intentional death there, so don't get too nervous by that one, just to set up the cycle of when this I don't even know what to call it. This little projectile falls down, which he uses to complete the puzzle. On the right side, Mattermonkey's into the Ginzo mini-boss. So this is kind of where you were talking about earlier. We have how the runners space out their attacks. The mini-boss will disappear and respawn, and you want to get him in as few cycles as possible, so as few times respawning as possible. You see Mattermonkey dodging the projectiles and also kind of spamming this projectile, or, like I said, spacing it out correctly. And he's done with the fight just before Lusther is able to enter there.
Yeah, that wasn't the cleanest fight from Mattermonkey, truth being told, so that's going to be an opportunity here for Lusther to catch up a little bit again on the left-hand side. We want to optimally get this down in 4 cycles. And you can see where the mini-boss is actually going to respawn on 1 frame. Very great fight from Lusther. The mini-boss will flash very briefly before it spawns in its next location, so the runners are usually try and spot where that is. It's very hard to see. They don't get it all the time. You might not be able to see it on your screen very clearly. But Mattermonkey now has his back skill as Lusther's going through and collecting a couple extra keystones to perform his next ghost door of the run.
Yep, and this is kind of that movement we were talking about with Bash. You see Mattermonkey quickly climbing up this area, using both Bash, using the dash glides that he has, and he's going to redirect this projectile right here in order to break a wall a little faster than you could otherwise, and he's on to do his key dupe. So it'll be interesting to see. He puts a save on the low ground as opposed to the high ground, which is a little bit slower, but a little bit, I would say, safer and easier to pull off. We'll see if Lusther does it differently there. He's going to collect 3 of these keys and then intentionally die while leaving the keys in the door, and this will duplicate them so that he can grab an additional 4 and leave a 7. Does it perfectly well. He rekindles a save, and you see, yeah, exactly like I was saying. Lusther going for the save on the high ground.
Yeah, that was very nice for Mattermonkey on his first intentional death there. He's going to be taking another one here for the purposes of the ghost door. It's very, very hard to just land directly in those spikes after while you're trying to put the keystones in the door. It's an extremely precise little bit of horizontal movement, but very nice for Mattermonkey. He gets it there, and Lusther is now performing his ghost door. So the second mini-boss here of Ginzo, not too much to talk about here. He just bashed some projectiles back at the elemental, and then he's done. So now we're going to be heading off towards Swamp to pick up our next skill.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that we will not be restoring the water, so that's what you're seeing here. The runners looking up, seeing the heart of the tree that needs to be restored, and saying, you know what, that looks a little slow. So I'm going to take this teleporter, go back to this area in Moon Grotto where they were earlier, and jump back up the wall. This time, instead of going up and to the left, they will opt to go to the right. Mattermonkey not putting down a save, so he is triggering the laser. That can be a little dangerous on your way back out, so keep your eye on that. But at the same time, I think we just see Lusther making up a little bit of time off of cleaner movement over Mattermonkey.
Yep, and so this is where double bashing becomes very, very convenient for the purposes of this trick. If you choose to go for it, maybe you're having a little bit of trouble. Mattermonkey just doing some single bashes to position the frog on top of the breakable platform there, and then some single bashes upwards, and ooh, frog's low on health. He doesn't get it. Oh no, he kills the frog. He can't get an extra projectile up there. And if Lusther can get this on his first try, we're going to have another lead change, and Luster's going to take the lead.
Oh no, the projectile bugged through the platform.
That is crazy. Okay, so Mattermonkey's repositioned the frog on top of that platform. It breaks it. He positions the frog over to the right-hand side as Lusther takes the lead. And another attempt for Mattermonkey. Now he gets it. And wow. That
Both runners hitting on their second try, but because Mattermonkey had to take the death because he killed the frog, Lusther does end up, having a much less costly of a death. Now they're both onto this next. Lusther going for a series of double bashes here on the left, but missing one of the double bashes, so he has to end up going back down. Let's see if he can get it time. One more double bash should do it. And yeah, he gets it, and he's up, and he's over into the tree. Mattermonkey, on the other hand, not opting for the double bashes, so a little bit, again, a little bit of a safer strat, and just really close behind Lusther.
11-second delta, the teleporter, by the way, being the difference between the runners as they were heading towards this area. And it looks as though we've got an approximate 5-second difference now for a lead for Lusther. So this race has been tight the whole way. You were just racing, Rufus. How significant are the nerves for these runners when they're in this situation? They're in the middle of a race. Some of these things are going well. Some of them aren't going so well. How do you recover from that, when something doesn't go right for you, and then you come back and you perform cleanly for the next few minutes?
Yeah, I think all players kind of handle it differently, but some players, it can definitely mess up with not only their mindset, but also, if your hands are cold or if your hands are shaking, it can mess up with your movement. And it's interesting here because the runners don't know exactly how the race is going, especially Lusther, right? Because Lusther mentioned he's not watching the restream. Lusther right now is about 1 minute and 10 seconds behind his PB, and that's kind of all he has to go off of. And other than that, it's just, you have to just remind yourself, look, at the end of the day, I just got to play my best. And that's how I'll be able to win. At the same time, kind of going back here, both executing Kuro cutscene skip that you mentioned earlier flawlessly, and making their way on to the next skill, Charge Flame, without any difficulties.
Yeah, this is sort of the reverse of the intended route that you're supposed to be doing as you head towards the Ginzo tree. As you come in, you pick up Charge Flame, and then you work your way towards Ginzo. We're doing it backwards because it's faster. And yeah, so we're going to be coming up on our next significant trick of this run. It's going to be fast stompless. What you basically do is you head up to the top of the valley, and there's a spider there that doesn't like you a whole lot, but you like the spider because he's your friend. He shoots a projectile at you. You shoot it off towards the left where you're supposed to stomp the rocks above Kuro's perch that dislodge Kuro from his position and gain you access to the feather skill. Then you move quickly off to the right, pick up an ability cell, which is going to allow you to pick up Charge Dash afterwards, and if you move quickly enough, you despawn the rocks, and so you can kind of get a 2-for-1 sale on both breaking the rocks and picking up the ability cell.
Yeah, and that is definitely a trick that can make or break a run. So while both runners, I would still say, are really close together, if either of them misses or if they don't get it first try, this is a trick that's harder to recover from because, well, I'll just talk about it as they get there and as it happens. But right now, Lusther climbing up here, just to about where you'd get to the start of the trick, aggroing these birds in order to stomp that bird and destroy that projectile or the wall to the right there. And here he goes. From here on, his movement does matter for setting up this trick. So far, so good. He's going to stand here, wait for the projectile, fire it at a very precise angle that he has set up, and then work his way down here, and he needs to get up and get to this ability cell before the projectile hits the rocks. So far, movement looks good, angle looked good, and he hits it, and he's passed. And Mattermonkey now doing the exact same thing. So he sets up his angle. The angle looks good. He's on his way down. Needs to make sure the spider there, firing a little bit off, but it looks like it's no problem for him, and he gets it just in time.
Ooh,
I believe he did get the ability cell there.
Yeah,
he's even checking himself. Yep, yeah. He gets the ability cell.
Yeah, you notice the UI pop up there just quickly because he wanted to do that check. If you leave the UI off, Sign, who's the Navi of this game, if you will, provides you with a whole bunch of text boxes and tutorial information. But if you leave it off, it doesn't display that, which is a time save throughout the run. But he activated there, very actually a heads-up play from Mattermonkey, because he knew how tight that was to quickly activate the UI, be able to see whether or not that text box came up, so he could confirm whether or not he got the ability cell. By the way, this is Sorrow Bash. You're meant to go towards Misty, then to the Forlorn Ruins, restore Wind, and then come up to Sorrow. Again, it's slow. So you take these birds, as you can see Mattermonkey performing this on the right-hand side now, being very careful with his bashes, charge dashing up to the bird, and yeah, he gets Sorrow Bash first try, as well as Lusther did, who's traversing now on the left-hand side of your screen through the affectionately named Dorito Caves, performing another Ghost Door as he heads to pick up his charge jump skill.
Yeah, and Mattermonkey, it looked like that was actually a little bit of a backup on his Sorrow's Bash, because I think he missed a couple of the double bashes earlier, and so he had to kind of do a little backup, which is hard to do on that strat, so really impressively done by him. At the same time, Lusther now has a skill. He's got the ability... what do you call it? The ability tree open here, because he's going to be doing another save anywhere at a specific part. This is the Terra Break route that we were mentioning at the beginning, and you know, everything perfectly done. It can be a little tricky to navigate around the spikes in that area with, you know, limited visibility, but he does it no problem.
Yeah, that's an extremely scary series of movements to be performing with the ability tree out, the transparency kind of limiting your vision, but also pulling it off very well. He's holding off this save anywhere for two purposes. One was the Terror Break that you mentioned, and another is to skip the acquisition of the Sunstone cutscene here, as Mattermonkey is about to perform his Terror Break on the right-hand side of your screen. You level up an ability right below that ceiling, which places your save, then you charge dump it into the spikes, and the aura of the charge dump persists for just a moment after your death, and so does the motion, which allows you to break the roof there and sequence break up towards the Sunstone. Lusther now has acquired his Sunstone, stomping down because it's faster, reversing his track through Sorrow Pass as he's going to be heading off into Misty Woods. This is perhaps one of the most fun areas to traverse through, because you're going to be doing a lot of stomp or dash cancels throughout this area. What I mean by that is the charge dash ability uses an energy, but if you stomp at the end of it or bash off of an enemy, it will refund that energy, effectively meaning as long as you have something to bash off of, or you got the stomp timing right, you can pretty much charge dash infinitely.
Yeah, for sure. And so you'll see a lot of that fast movement coming up in this section for both players. And I think just in this section of the first part of Misty and what we've seen from Lusther for the first part of Misty, and then all of Sorrows, Lusther was just having slightly cleaner movement. I know we kind of sound like a broken record with that, but it really is how he's able to get up and take a lead over Mattermonkey. And at the same time, I think even more importantly is Lusther has, he had quite a few mistakes at the beginning, but he's been able to play for the most part without any major mistakes or any major time losses here. So they were within 15 seconds of each other at the feather skill, and now you can see that Lusther has, picked or worked or gotten a better lead from that since then.
Yeah, it seems like he's definitely calmed their nerves down a little bit. Ooh, stomps into the spikes, charge, jumps back up, saves it. The nice on-the-fly recovery there from Lusther as he missed his stomp cancel coming across, and he's looking to exit through Misty here. This jump laser puzzle, you can just dash straight across it if you want. He opts not to off of that platform in the middle, instead taking a slightly more vanilla route, I suppose, feathering his way down through another extremely dangerous area of spikes, stomping down, making sure to bash off that lancer before he hits the spikes. And, ooh, stops to the spikes again. He can't recover from that. That's a huge death from Lusther.
Yeah, it really is. They were 45 seconds between each other at the climb tree. And with that death, that is going to put Mattermonkey probably gaining about half that time back. So a much closer race now. At the same time, he's still at 1 HP, so any damage will kill him here. He's going to end up just putting down a safety save. Doesn't want to have to deal with another death. He has the energy for it, so there's no reason not to. And you see Mattermonkey kind of going through the same section on the right side.
So Luster's nearly done with his traversal through Misty Woods. A little bit of a biff there off of the frog. No big deal. He just drops back down and gets the Delta Badge to come up. Heading to fight the mini-boss here of Misty Woods, which is similar to a grotto mini-boss that you did not see, and you pretty much didn't see that mini-boss either. So he goes, he activates this door. All you really need to do is just cross that threshold in order to be able to trigger the next area of Misty Woods, which changes based on your progression and has certain specific trigger points, which is why we didn't backtrack throughout this area, because the game actually doesn't permit you. Most of the time, throughout the rest of the run, you'll see us kind of just going back through area, trying to take the shortest path available. There is no short path through Misty. So Lusther hitting his teleporter at about 27:56, as he's looking to pick up his final skill of the category, Light Grenade.
Yeah, and both runners have to be feeling good about getting out of Misty here, assuming Mattermonkey can do these last few charge dashes without any problem. I just have to say, yeah, both players kind of looked like they were just, so close to any mistake killing them in Misty there. Mattermonkey with 1 HP and 0 MP at one point, or energy, I guess. And Lusther here on the left side going for a blind movement section through this area. That laser can be a little troublesome, but he gets through it no problem. And yeah, great movement over towards Light Burst.
So as of contact with that Valley teleporter, as they were heading back here, it's about a 23-second difference for Lusther. So it's worth noting that in the final escape, there's a trick that you can perform that skips basically half of the final cutscene, which is about a 40-second time save. So this is by no means over for Mattermonkey. It's as simple as Lusther missing that time save and Mattermonkey getting it. And as long as they stay roughly within the same time distance from now through to the final escape, it's entirely possible that Mattermonkey can snipe this win.
But look at Lusther showing us on the left side that he means business, opting for a but it's death, and that is going to tie up our runners here. Mattermonkey now just a few seconds behind, basically the duration of that cutscene behind Lusther. Lusther once again going for kind of a swag, I would have to say, grenade jump on that left side and showing, you know what, I am ready for, if the race comes down to grenade jump at the end, I am ready to do it. No.
Mattermonkey with a little bit of a hover there to make sure that he gets through that cycle, jumps up, takes an extra jump. He preferred to opt the safer route on that second laser as they're exiting the lower end of Blackroot Burrows. Lusther hitting that teleporter and leaving it at about 29:51. Mattermonkey is right on his heels as we have collected all the skills in the game and we are heading off towards the final escape to defeat Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yes, both are at 5 HP. I don't believe any are going to be going for the 6 HP, but depending on if they're feeling nervous, yeah, looks like Luster's going to skip it, and I believe Mattermonkey should do the same thing. So that can also come into effect here. We've got Door Warp here in just a second that can, save time significantly for either runner. We've got Grenade Jump at the end, which if either runner misses it, it can be a huge time loss. And at the same time, yeah, Mattermonkey opting for the safety, saying, you know what, I'm close enough that if he makes any mistake, I can pull ahead. I don't want to have to worry about dying in the final escape. So a little bit more safety for him during the final escape.
Some very nice grenade jumps by Lusther there to try and save a little bit of time. Mattermonkey not going for it as he's heading towards the front entrance of Horu. Let's see how Lusther performs his door work. First try, very nice from him. You enter the door on the first frame after the game reloads, and it will place you in a different place. This is true of a lot of doors in Ori and the Blind Forest. It's very convenient for us here at Mount Horu, as it allows us to skip the entirety of the dungeon. And Lusther going for warm skip on the left-hand side, takes a death to the rock. And he's going to give it a try again, and he's through on his second attempt. So Mattermonkey, first try door work, right-hand side of the screen. This is an extremely close race. This is going to be coming down to any deaths at all here in the final escape or grenade jump.
Yeah, and you see Mattermonkey, we talked about that warmth skip, Mattermonkey just going for it the normal way, so Lusther does make up a little bit of time there, so has a little bit more safety cushion here on this final part. This swim is very important, and he makes it out, only taking 4 damage, so he lives. Doesn't spawn Crow there in the end, so all that is left now is this grenade jump. If he gets this trick first try, then he will have won the race, and it looks perfect, perfectly done. So Lusther there, closing it out, calmly, and you know, kind of we talked about those nerves, but it looks like he was able to overcome them in the end. Mattermonkey on the right side going for his final swim into his grenade jump. So let's see how he does.
As you say, as mentioned earlier, he did pick up that extra health cell, so he's got a little bit of extra safety. It looks like he actually didn't need it. Wouldn't have made a difference at the end of it. That only cost him a couple of seconds to pick up that last health cell there. And now he's setting up. There's a very specific section on this wall here that if you climb onto and hold and then fire a grenade and then charge jump after it, you basically have some uncapped initial speed off of it. It takes a couple setups there for Mattermonkey, but he gets it cleanly. GG to both of our runners.
Yeah, GG indeed. So both of them kind of coming out there, I would still say fairly close. I know they were around 20 seconds at the start of the escape, so we'll have to see what their final times end up being, to be slightly more than that. But GG from both runners, really well done on their races.
Yeah, so just taking a look at some numbers here. For Lusther, that finish of 32-24, I believe it was mentioned in the chat earlier that he actually PB'd a little bit more recently as well. I don't have that number in front of me, but his previous PB to that was 30-57. So not too shabby a performance, and especially in a race setting, especially given all the nerves that you could see Lusther having throughout the course of this run, to be, you know, just over a minute and a half or so off of his PB pace that we had previously recorded. Not too bad at all. And 33.06 for Mattermonkey. You know, that's an extremely impressive performance from Mattermonkey. 33.06 is PB 32.57. To pull that off in a race setting, to be that close to your PB.
Yeah,
I want some claps for Mattermonkey in the chat. That was a really impressive performance from both my runners.
Yeah, I would agree for sure. I think that he played really well. He's kind of mentioning in the race chat that he doesn't even know where he lost the time. So he was playing really well throughout the whole race. No major time losses, just kind of like we mentioned, just a little bit cleaner, better movement from Lusther. And we'll see if we can get either of the runners or both runners, hopefully, in for an interview.
Yeah, we'll be dragging them in here for an interview shortly. So the winner of this race is going to be facing off against the winner of a race tomorrow happening at 3 o'clock Eastern. That is going to be between Pupio and Lurking Assassin.
Yeah, and we do have Lusther in here. So Lusther, how are you doing? How are you feeling after that win?
You're muted, buddy. I think while Lusther just kind of shakes off his nerves. There he goes.
I'm so shaking. Oh, this was so intense. Totally stressed by the race, and having some costly deaths at the beginning of the run totally make this harder.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have to say, GG to you on being able to pull out not only the win, but to be able to calm yourself after some of those errors. And not to like put too fine a point on it, but you did, as you mentioned, take some rough deaths that very easily could have tilted you into a loss. And you know, by the time you headed up towards, I would say, Sorrow Pass, you really started to clean it up. So a very impressive performance by you. How difficult was it for you, you know, after some of those time losses, to be able to just kind of, you know, shake it out and be able to perform as well as you did throughout most of the rest of the run?
Yeah, that was pretty hard actually. I was just okay. Let's just don't think about a race. Just make a good run, and maybe the muscle memory will do the rest. That's what I was hoping. And just after, I get some very big spaghetti in the second half of Misty, and that was pretty monk-ass. But in the end, it was pretty okay. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask, because you mentioned that you would not be watching the restream. So in your head, did you think you were ahead at the end, or were you just like you were saying, kind of not even thinking about the race at all and only thinking about...
Yeah, the only place I think about the race was actually at the bash tree, and I was, okay, I'm surely behind. And at this moment, I was just, okay, I'm just sorting the race of my head and don't think about it. Just make a good time, and that's it.
Yeah, well, it ended up working out, because I have to say, after those first early deaths, you played really well, and your movement was really clean throughout the rest of that. So GG there. We also do have Mattermonkey here with us. Mattermonkey, how are you feeling after that?
Well, I mean, I feel like the run I did was pretty good, but not good enough, sadly.
No, yeah, we were kind of just saying, like, with how close you were able to get within your PB, that is a really impressive time, especially to put up in a race setting like this.
Yeah, like, I knew that if I was going to win, Lusther had to, lose quite a bit of time on his PB, get like a 32 or above, and I needed to get a good run for me. And he did his part, and he did beat my PB, but I know that on the ideal run I can probably get a 31. So on a good run, I probably could have beaten the time he got right now, but sadly it was not to be.
Yeah, well, it was an excellent race on your part, nonetheless. With less than 10 seconds separating your new PB, actually smashing your old PB by a little over 20 seconds as well. Was there ever a point where you were looking at your splits and you saw that you were on PB pace? Despite having just talked about how you mentioned in terms of the time separation, you know that Lusther had a separation of nearly 5 minutes between his best qualifier time and his worst qualifier time. Did you consider, with some of the clean movement sections that you had, that you were pulling ahead at any given point?
Well, I feel like that would have been a little optimistic. I know that, like, on average, he's going to be beating me, and I can't actually see any splits. I'm using the tournament live split layout, so it's just a timer. But I sort of know what times I'm looking to get at each split, and I remember being like 30 seconds behind at Stomp. And then, yeah, I was never really ahead, but I knew if I had the perfect end split. When I entered Horu, I knew if I did the end split right, I could PB by like 2 seconds or something, but then I didn't.
Grease helping us out in the truck, saying that you were approximately 1 minute behind at Charged Flame and 9 seconds behind your PB by the time you finished the run. That is a lot of catch-up that you performed between Charged Flame and finishing the race. Very impressive stuff.
Yeah, great job, for sure. Lusther, going forward, I always like to ask, how are you feeling about your next round of opponents? You don't know exactly who it is. We'll figure it out tomorrow. But you'll have either Lurking Assassin or Fupio in a best of 3. How are you feeling? You kind of mentioned this was your first bracket match, so you were a little more nervous. Do you feel like those nerves will still be affecting you in this round, or are you feeling more calm?
I think the next round will be maybe a bit nervous. I'll be a bit nervous too, but maybe a bit less, because I don't know. It's the second match, and it will be a rather difficult match because Lurking is a great runner, and if Fupio just defeat Lurking, that means he will have a great time, and it will be always it will be scary.
All right. Well, GG to the both of you. Thanks for participating in this race. Good luck to you, Lusther, in your next round. Coming up on Speed Gaming 2, we are going to be having... Double check here real quick.
Right now, directly after, it's going to be a different game. So at 4 p.m. we have Kirby's Dream Land, but then we're coming back right at 5 p.m. Eastern for Terra vs. Griffs, and I think that is going to be a very fun and exciting.
Yeah, that is going to be a European restreamer match. Terra helping us out on the restream for this race as well. So make sure that you tune in again at 5 o'clock Eastern for some more Ori and the Blind Forest All Skills tournament action. My name is Shafe, alongside Rufus. Thank you very much for joining us. See you again soon.